Hello, welcome to my first video beyond my introductory video about making chatbots. And again, I am using something called RiveScript, an open source library for chatbots. A link to the GitHub repository. Thank you to the creators and maintainers of RiveScript. It's a wonderful project. I've used it in a lot of things before, and I really enjoy using it. So I'm going to try to show you a bit about how it works. I am not some sort of official representative of the RiveScript project. I'm just a user and fan of RiveScript. The idea of RiveScript is pattern matching. It's basically a chatbot system that uses a technique called pattern matching and retrieval. I don't know if those are the right terms. Well, let me describe to you what I mean. The user says something. Hello. That goes into the chatbot's brain. The brain does something. So this is input. And then gives a reply. Hi. We could actually make a chat. I know, it's shocking, I know. We could program a chatbot that does this. Anytime the user says hello, and then that could be typed in or spoken in, depending on what what medium where we're kind of deploying this chatbot. Says hello, and the reply, which the word reply has an L in it, in case you were wondering, says hi. So RiveScript is the thing that I want to use here. I want it to be the brain of the chatbot. It's not the only option in the world for programming or creating a chatbot brain, but it is one option. I am going to start at least by using JavaScript and P5.js to take my input and display my reply. So I'm going to build a simple chatbot that just runs in the browser, programmed with JavaScript and the P5.js library, but I'm going to have its brain driven by RiveScript. And this brain uses a technique called pattern matching. So ultimately, there are so many different kinds of things we could put into this brain that are super sophisticated. But one thing I could actually do is just say, did the user say exactly this word hello? Or did it say the word hello or hi or howdy? Can I match one of these possible phrases that the user said? And if it said one of these possible phrases, then I'm going to say this exact reply. This is the idea of RiveScript. And so RiveScript is really just a markup syntax for configuring different sorts of expected patterns, much like a regular expression, if you look at my regular expression tutorials, that you might expect the user to say, and the replies that should come with those patterns. So the way RiveScript is modeled off of something called AIML. Artificial Intelligence Markup Language, which is an XML-like tag-based markup thing that is interesting you could also use. But RiveScript has a bit of a simpler syntax. So in RiveScript, it's just a text file, every single line in the text file begins with a command symbol. So some possible command symbols are exclamation point, plus, minus, and pound or hashtag. So for example, this chatbot that I want to program would look like this. Hello. Hi. Which means the plus means this is the pattern I want to match as the input. And the reply that I want to give to that input is the minus. This is the reply. Now, one thing I could do is I could have two possible replies. So the first thing I can do in RiveScript is configure an input that I'm looking for and then give a set of possible replies, and RiveScript will pick one of those randomly. There actually isn't even a syntax for weighting these. So I could say 90% of the time I want to say hi, and 10% of the time I want to say howdy. So that's a level of detail that I don't think I need right now for what I'm going to try to demonstrate, but that is possible. So you might be asking the question, okay, if that's the basic idea, well, how do I learn what all the possible things I could put in here are? And hopefully I'm going to show you some of them. I don't have them memorized, so I'm going to have to learn them and figure them out as I go a bit. Where do I learn that stuff? So, and where can I test out? So could I test out a brain configuration without having to write my own JavaScript code? So yes. yes, all of the above. Just come over here with me. Oh, look, we're over here now. So this is the RiveScript website. I find if you go to just rivescript.com, you'll come to the main web page. But under here, /docs tutorial, this is a wonderful walkthrough of all the possible features. And you can see here, I'm going to skip some stuff here about, you can say here is your first chatbot. Same thing that I've said. Exclamation point is a kind of command symbol for like a configuration thing. You can actually store variables and different things like that in the chatbot, which I will get to. So we want to be compatible with version 2.0 of RiveScript, and I want a plus to say hello bot, and a minus to say, I want to look for the user saying hello bot, and I want the bot to say hello human. So let's go and actually test this now. There's something called the RiveScript playground, and I'm going to get rid of this part of it. So here is that chatbot in the RiveScript playground, and I can say, whoa, I'm going to say run. So I can down here say, hello bot. And it says, hello human. And I'm going to say, hi bot. And it says, error, no match reply. No reply match. So here's the first thing I want to do. I would like to have something that's a catch-all, a response for anything I don't know about. Let's add that. So just like in regular expressions where you have meta characters and literal characters, and this is what I'm saying here is like, I want to match exactly hello bot. And notice there's no capitalization here. So capitalization and punctuation don't really play a role in the patterns that you're matching. You're just looking for the raw text. But I can have wildcards. So I could say something like apple, I love apples too, or apples are delicious. So now I'm using a wildcard. So apple, anything after apple will give me one of these responses. So now if I run it, apple you eat, question mark, apples are delicious. Apple, 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 apple. I love apples too. See, we even got the different one the second time. But if I say hello apple, error, no reply matched. So this is one way you can use a chatbot to kind of just realize that the user's kind of brought up a certain topic. So for example, if you want to say anywhere the word apple appears, if the user says anything with apple, say like, oh, let's talk about apples. And then I can also use a complete and total, just 1 star as a wildcard to say like, I prefer to discuss fruit. So now I'm going to run my chatbot, and I'm going to say, hello bot, hello human, and I'm going to say, let's discuss Pokemon. And then RiveScript says I prefer to discuss fruit. Oh, I love apples. And oh no, what happened here? So look at this. Oh, I love apples. RiveScript is saying I prefer to discuss fruit. Am I still making a video about chatbots and this is actually like what I ended up talking about? Oh boy. Hopefully this is okay here. So I think what's going on here is I have apple space star. And maybe if I did apple star like that, then now I could say, oh, I love apples. Oh, let's talk about apples. So that space was actually matching there. The apple space star, I needed to have, I couldn't match apples. Okay, anyway, so do you get the basic idea here? This we can see here. So this is very little. Like this is just like all we've learned so far is I can match something exactly or I can match something with a wildcard. There are many more things that you can do. So let's add a few more things to this chatbot. Now, one thing that I would like to mention is that these are the plus elements, without even calling inputs, are actually called triggers. So the term for that is trigger, and you'll actually see in some modern chatbot systems this word called intent. So we're trying to match the intention of the user. What is their intention, and what is it that they want to do, and I need to reply accordingly. So one thing that we can do that's nice about these wildcards is we can also use what the person said in the wildcard in the reply. So I can say, what if the user says, my name is star? And I could say, nice to meet you, and then star. So I can refer back to what they said by putting star in these greater than and less than. So I can say, my name is Coding Train. Now, interestingly enough, nice to meet you, Coding Train. And it didn't keep my capitalization, and there's probably some way that I could configure that. We could look through the documentation. And that's a little bit weird that my name is Coding Train. But so that's one thing you could do. We can also have multiple stars. So I could do something like, my name is star star, and then I could change that, nice to meet you, star, I could be like really weird about this, star 2, comma, star 1. So like, for example, my name is Daniel Schiefman. Nice to meet you, Schiefman, comma, Daniel, because this is a bot who likes to speak very formally. So you can see here that you can match the different stars in a particular order. So again, there is nothing going, there's no type of learning or training. I am configuring precise patterns for the bot to look for with certain replies. A question is coming up in the chat, which is great, which is like, well, what if the user asks something about the weather and you wanted to say, well, the temperature today is blank. So this is why I want to combine RiveScript with JavaScript. And I'm going to do this in the next video, but this is just essentially the script for the brain, but there's no reason if I'm using this brain in my own code that I couldn't also inject something like an API call. So I will have, I could write my own program to do a lot of if conditional statements and regular expressions that I don't need RiveScript for, but RiveScript is a nice syntax for me able to configure a really elaborate set of possibilities, and then I can combine that with coding to do something much more dynamic. So that's really where I'm trying to go with this here. So I want to look at a few more features in RiveScript. An important feature of RiveScript is substitutions, because you might have something where the chatbot might say, who is there? Not the chatbot, the trigger you're looking for is who is there, but the user might say who's there or who is there. And so something you can do in RiveScript is configure all these different substitutions, meaning these are equivalent. Substitute I'm for I am, substitute I'd for I would. So you can put I am in your chatbot. Let's do this right here. Let's put this here. I'm going to add this as a substitution at the top. And now I'm going to say, I'm just going to change this to I am, sorry. And now I'm going to run this, and I can say, I am Dan Schiffman. Nice to meet you, Schiffman, comma, Dan, or I'm Dan Schiffman, same thing. So now I have a substitution. So this is a way that I can have this particular phrase. And so one thing that you can actually do that we'll see is that you can have separate files that make up the brain. So this thing that I'm talking about, all these files can be can have the .rive extension, and you could have many, many, many of these. So you could have one file that just has 1,000 substitutions in it, and you could use that as part of the brain. You could use that for multiple projects, and you could just carry that file along with you. So once you've made one chatbot, or you're using somebody else's chatbot, or you've got an example chatbot, you can divide things in different files to kind of keep organized and reuse stuff. Another key feature is variables. So I think there's two more things that I want to talk about. One is variables and one is sequencing. So how do you do variables? So I'm pretty sure that you can just do stuff like var name equals computer. And then I think, nice to meet you, star. And then so if the user says, who are you? You could say, I am name. I think this is how this works. I'm actually kind of speculating. I think you can set up a name, and then you can say, I am that name. So let's see if that works. Who are you? I am blank. So that's not right. So much for me just making up what RiveScript does. Let's look for it in the tutorial. Okay, so I found the spot in the tutorial. I apologize. You have to, if you want to display the value of a variable, you have to use get as well. So what I missed here is I am get name. So I'm going to run this now, and I'm going to say, who are you? I am undefined. What did I get wrong? So it appears that for the variables that you set up at the top, you can actually retrieve their values not with get, but with the keyword bot. Get is something that I'm going to show you in a minute. That's for variables that you've set in a different way using set. So maybe I'm missing a few important details here that I will try to get to. But so what I need to do is, if I want to retrieve that variable, I use bot name. So these are like kind of almost like fixed constants or settings for the particular bot. So I can say, now I can say, who are you? And it can say, I am computer. The reason why this is useful is I could use bot name in all sorts of places in my chatbot, and then if I wanted to change its name later, I could just change it at the top. So it's a way of setting, just like the reason why you might use variables in coding, the same reason why you might use variables here. Now here's the interesting thing. Sometimes you might want to remember something the user says. So for example, let's say the user says, my favorite color is star. Now, one thing I should mention is there are ways of setting up specific options only that are valid. Like it has to be a number, it has to be a word, or it has to be one of these 3 words. Then you can have a different reply if it doesn't fit that. But for right now, I'm just going to say my favorite color is anything. And what I want to do is say, oh, I love, and I can do set color equals star, something like this, too. So this is this idea of, in addition to displaying back what the user said, I could store that in another variable. Now, I might not have gotten this syntax exactly right. Let's go look at the tutorial. So I'm going to search for the part of the tutorial that's using set. So yeah, so set name equals star. So actually what I should do is put this at the beginning, and then I can say get if I want to actually use that. And I can use that later too. So I did that wrong. So let's do, this was right, set color equals star. And then I can say, oh, I love get color too. And let me give myself a bit more room here so that fits in one line. I know I'm going to be standing in front of it, but we can see here. Okay, so now what I can do is, if the user says, my favorite color is blue, oh, I love blue too, but I haven't only sent something back to the user. What I can actually say, who are you? I am bot name, and my favorite color is get color. So this is a way now that the bot will always say back the same favorite color that the user has said. So now we can say, my favorite color is purple, which is actually my favorite color. And then I can say, who are you? I am a computer, and my favorite color is purple. So we can actually use stuff that the user is saying, store that information, and save it later. So you could imagine if you're creating a bot to have a conversation over a period of time that's going to remember stuff about the user, this could be incredibly useful. So the important thing here is the difference between bot variables, which are the ones you set up at the top, and other variables that you're setting during the conversation with set. So I have a set of examples that I'll include linked from this video that mostly pull from that tutorial. I'm just going to kind of show you those right now because we could spend forever like showing you each possible configuration. But I think once you get the basic idea of how it works, you can read through the documentation yourself. The key thing here that I want to demonstrate to you is the next step, which is actually using this in your own program in JavaScript, which is pretty exciting and interesting. So this is an example that I have. So I already talked to you about star, which means match anything, and you can have different stars, star 1, star 2. You can have a catch-all. You can match only a number. So if it's not a number, you could say back like, oh, please give me a number. You can match only A to Z characters. You can have something optional, like if the user says, what is your phone number or what is your number? Optional anything is a nice way to match a topic. So I sort of was doing this earlier. You can see if the user uses the word JavaScript anywhere, can you teach me to program in JavaScript? You can use an other. So if the user says, I love purple or I love pink, you could say, what about red? So a lot of this, you'll notice the syntax is very similar to regular expressions. And you can also use an array. So I was kind of mentioning this before, right? You can set up an array of different options, and then you can say, what if the user says anything that matches anything from that array? So there are so many possible configurations. That's just a little bit. I'm trying to think if I missed anything else that I wanted to show you in here. Learning I mentioned in terms of like saving information. Oh, and you can also have conditionals. So this is really great. So one thing, let's try this actually. So let's try to use, I think the age is a good example. Oh, let's do pick a number. Oh yeah, this would be a great chatbot where the bot thinks of a number and the user has to like guess the number. So maybe actually that's what we'll do when I get to the JavaScript example. So let's not worry too much about this right now. You can see that if the bot says, if the trigger is, it's always very confusing, I keep saying the wrong thing. If the user says, am I older than you? If the user's age that was set up here is greater than 10, say you are, I am 10. If the user's age is less than or equal to 10, nope, I am 10. So this is like saying that the bot's age is 10. And incidentally, I could make that a bot variable as well, or a user set variable, because maybe the user says how old the bot is. I don't know. So there's so many possibilities here. I hope this gives you, boy, this was a really terribly disorganized introduction to RiveScript. Admittedly, I was really figuring it out as I went. I don't know RiveScript that well, but I kind of did this for myself to remind me how it is and what it does. And now I want to take that next step and use RiveScript in a JavaScript program. You can use, one of the things I love about RiveScript is it's open source, it's MIT licensed, and you can use it in a variety of programming languages. I'm going to use it in JavaScript. So I'll see you in the next video where I'm going to do that.